Hello, welcome to my another video. In this video, I am going to talk about facade pattern, one of the design patterns that we regularly use in our real world development. Subscribe to my channel because I will regularly post videos regarding software engineering, software architecture, system design, and as well as any other coding difficulties. So, what is facade pattern? It is a structural design pattern. Facade provides a simplified interface to a complex system of classes, library, or framework. So you can have complex system of classes, library, framework, or any third-party libraries that you want to use in your code. But as we know that any third-party libraries or any other code that you are not the owner, it can contain a lot of methods, lot of classes that you don't need all the things, or you don't need all the methods or all the classes. In this case, you can use facade pattern so that you can just use the necessary class and method that you need in your code to serve your purpose. And it reduces complexity and moves unwanted dependencies in one place. When to use the facade pattern when you need to have a limited but straightforward interface to a complex subsystem. Use the facade when you want to structure a subsystem into layers. Now I am going to explain a brief implementation of the facade pattern. I have taken the example from refactoring.guru website and have slightly modified the implementation. So for the facade pattern, we have a facade class, and here are the example subsystem. It is a subsystem 1 and another one is subsystem 2. Both are containing few methods. So facade can use multiple subsystems together, and it leverages facade pattern to use your required methods from the required class in your own code. So to use the subsystem and subsystem 2 in the facade class, we can create and initialize instance of both the subsystems. And we have another method that can actually use the methods from the subsystem. Here the subsystem 1 and subsystem 2. So we can use our required methods from the required subsystem. Here it is saying the facades method are convenient shortcuts to the sophisticated functionality of the subsystems. However, client gets only to a fraction of a subsystem's capability. So we don't need the whole subsystem classes and methods and such for the whole libraries in our code. Instead, we can just pick our necessary methods, as I have already mentioned. So in the client class, how can we use the facade class? We can create instances of our required subsystems and pass the instance to our facade constructor, and it initializes our variables of the subsystem, and then we can use our necessary method. And in this case, this facade has one method, and we can call this method. So if I run the application, it is showing the output that we have written in our facade operation method. So basically, we can create many facade classes as well. So based on our requirement, another use case of the facade pattern is that suppose we have a lot of subsystems and each subsystem is doing their own work, and in our main system we can just use the part of one subsystem. In that case, we can also use facade pattern, even though we have control in the other subsystem as well. We can change code and do other things, but in order to use the particular subsystem's particular method, we can use the facade pattern in our main system and use as an interface to use in our main application. And for the third party, we can also actually add the third party classes that we can add in our dependencies as a package or as a DLL, and from there we can use the facade pattern to get the necessary class and method. So facade pattern is basically to make and reduce the complexity so that our own solution can use the different subsystems, methods, and classes.